Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Let's take a look at some of the unbelievable comments from Republicans at a conference this week. This is another episode of the DC Comedy Hour where there's more nonsense from the Republicans and more unbelievable comments as they try and stir up some more trouble. Let's take a look at Congressman Steve Scalise, who says, I quote, "Some people are practicing more political science than medical science in this last year because they want to control your life. It's about government control versus freedom, and that is what socialism is." Now, what I find interesting is that in the past year, we've had a horrific pandemic that's killed 600,000 of our fellow Americans and counting. We've had a horrific economic crisis, the worst we've had in a long time. We've had a situation where vaccines have essentially not only helped the American economy recover, but the world economy come back on track. And yes, medical science is critical in this situation. You can trust a Republican like Congressman Scalise to make this about politics, to make this about socialism. How they make the stretch from one thing to another is something that I'll never understand. But I think it's important to take a look at some of the bizarre comments from Congressman Steve Scalise, the Republican. Let's roll the tape and let's watch.
But you know some of the other freedoms that are under attack. They're trying to take away all of our freedoms. This last year has been a classic example of that. My goodness, if you see somebody driving in their Prius by themselves with 3 masks on, you don't need to know what party they're in. You don't need to know what the bumper sticker on the back of their car says. I mean, some of this stuff is unbelievable. Again, let's get back to the science. That is not science. Some people are practicing more political science than medical science in this last year because they want to control your life. It's about government control versus freedom. And that is what socialism is. And so make no mistake, they don't want to let this go because they want to be able to tell you what to do. It's like that with everything.
So if you thought that was interesting, guess what? He's not done yet. In some other comments, Scalise said this: "Is America going to become yet another failed socialist experiment like New York, like California?" Well, folks, last time I checked, New York and California were part of America. So here's an interesting dynamic from this politician trying to divide further. You've heard me mention this before. Politics is about timing, opportunity, tribalism, and perception. Tribalism is good for fundraising and it's good for helping get voters out. Politicians tend to get people agitated so that people can come out and vote and so that people can fundraise. Okay, let's continue taking a look at Steve Scalise's comments. Is America going to become yet another failed socialist experiment like New York, like California? Why is Florida growing? Why is Texas growing? Because this state represents freedom. The states that represent socialism are failed. Wow. Let's take a look at comments from Steve Scalise.
This is what is at stake in America. It's why the Faith and Freedom Coalition, it's why all of you stand together here and then go back in your communities. We need to spread this word. We need to be talking about this every day. We need to be confronting them. Why? Because this is what the fight is about. It's about the future of America. Is America going to become yet another failed socialist experiment like New York, like California? Why is Florida growing? Why is Texas growing? Because this state represents freedom. The states that represent socialism are failed. Countries who represent socialism have failed. There is only one beacon left in the world, and it is this great United States of America. It's worth fighting for. I'm in the fight. You're in the fight. We are going to win this fight. Thank you. Thank God. And God keep blessing this great United States of America.
Wow. And if you thought that was interesting, let's take a look at Congressman Ronnie Jackson. What he said was quite shocking. And I'm actually surprised that other news outlets have not picked up on this. He pretty much said that the Republicans were looking to rig the 2022 midterm elections. Yes, he said that. He pretty much said that. He said, I quote, "We have redistricting coming up and the Republicans control most of that process in most of the states around the country. That alone should get us the majority back." Yes, folks, you heard that right. That is exactly what Congressman Ronnie Jackson said. Let's roll the tape and hear from Congressman Ronnie Jackson. Let's watch.
The good news is we are going to get the House back. We are going to get the House back. That is a done deal. We've got some outstanding leadership in the House right now. You guys just heard from Whip Steve Scalise, fantastic leader. We got Kevin McCarthy, who's our leader in the House right now. They did a great job this last round. They really did. You know, it was projected that we would lose 15 seats in this last election. That's what the polls said, right? We didn't. We gained 15 seats instead of losing 15 seats, right? The Democrats went from a 41-seat majority to a 9-seat majority overnight. We almost got the House back. We are four votes right now from controlling what happens on the floor, right? We have everything working in our favor right now. We have redistricting coming up, and the Republicans control most of that process in most of the states around the country. That alone should get us the majority back. We have history on our side. History says that the party that's not in the White House in a midterm election is going to pick up 30 to 40 seats. That's plenty to get us a majority back, right? And then the last thing we have going for us is we have people, how many ever there were, I don't know how many there were, but the people that voted for Biden, they have buyer's remorse bad right now, right? Bad. There are people, if you can find some of them that voted for him, I don't know where they're at, but if you can find a few of them that voted for him, they'll tell you this is not what they voted for. This is not who they thought he was going to be.
And if you thought that was interesting, let's take a look at Senator Rick Scott, who was at the same conference, the Faith and Freedom Conference. Rick Scott is a Republican from Florida. He told the crowd that if they're tired of, I quote, Democrats constantly using any tragedy to take away your gun rights. And this is what he said, I quote, school boards across the country that are trying to teach critical race theory, trash our history, present our founders as racist. So you can see that in the absence of other things to try and agitate people, to try and stir up people, they're trying to find these issues to create as much trouble as possible. Let's roll the tape and hear from Senator Rick Scott, the Republican from Florida, at the Faith and Freedom Conference as he talks about gun rights, he talks about critical race theory and racism. Very interesting. Let's roll the tape and watch.
How many of you are tired, sick and tired of mostly Democrats constantly using any tragedy to take away your gun rights? How often are you tired of being called a racist by Democrats in the media? How about being bullied by the liberal media who trash our faith, our work ethic, our history, and this great country? How about these school boards across the country that are trying to teach critical race theory, trash our history, present our founders as racist, and divide us by our color of our skin? How many of you are tired of AOC and the squad?
So, let me know what you think of these interesting, downright bizarre comments from Congressman Steve Scalise. There he is. What's up, Congressman? I guess you're busy trying to create as much trouble as possible. Let me know what you think of important comments from Congressman Ronnie Jackson, who pretty much said, hey, we're trying to rig the election. And of course, the one and only Senator Rick Scott, the Republican from Florida. Please click the like button. Please subscribe. Please enable notifications. I appreciate you. I want you to know we work very hard on this channel. And if you want to support our efforts, all I ask is that you click the like button, click subscribe, and enable notifications. That would go a long way in helping our channel. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.